Hey, Cass, this is for you, and I will do a little slideshow of it as well. This is a little dramatic reading from Life Beyond the Game. Simon, yelled my director of charity affairs. Rhonda. Yes, my love, Simon said mockingly. Did you tell my assistant you were coming with Nicole? Rhonda asked, her arm outstretched, pointing to my date. My woman, the woman I wanted to marry. I did, said Simon with a ridiculous smile on his face. I looked at Nicole and placed my hand on her hip and pulled her against me. We will talk about your misconception when we get home, I said into her ear. Nicole looked up at me, her eyes wide. But she didn't say anything. I merely nodded and looked back at Rhonda, who was giving Simon a tongue lashing. Yet my friend took it all with a big fucking smile on his face. When Rhonda stopped talking and raised a brow at him, Simon merely said, Do you not see me here with Nicole? Did I not arrive with her? But she's Jeremy's date, Rhonda argued. What makes you think she isn't mine as well? Do I not live with them? He asked. My mouth dropped open. Nicole stiffened and made a strange, shocked, squeaky sound I've never heard her make before. Almost like a huff and a high-pitched squeal. Likely because no one had ever accused her of being in a fucking triad. What? Rhonda asked, her eyes darting from Simon to Nicole, then to me, and back to Simon. Simon had perfectly put her in a corner. Everything he said was completely true. The insinuation was absolutely false, but how could Rhonda refute that without sounding like a judgmental prick? All she could do was what she was doing, stand there, her mouth twisted, as if she'd eaten a lime, as she placed her hands on her straight hips. She just stood there as she blinked at him. Nicole pressed herself even harder against me. I wrapped my arms around her. I didn't much care about the idea of sharing her with Simon, but he was my fucking best friend. I couldn't call him out in front of Rhonda. She was a bitch, and this date role was asinine. Simon then took Nicole's hand and lifted a brow in challenge at Rhonda. Humph, Rhonda muttered. She looked at Nicole, and then me, then back to Simon again, as he fucking brought her hand to his lips and kissed it. I gritted my teeth. I wouldn't call him out, but if he kissed any other part of her body, of course Nicole allowed it. He was one of her best friends, too. Her mouth hung open, and she stared up at him as he smiled down at her. He was pushing me a little too far. Rhonda looked at us, then turned and walked away. Simon? Nicole whispered, as shocked as I was at his behavior. I know, Simon said, as he fucking laughed as he pulled Nicole out of my arms and into his for a hug. Come on, you have to admit that was fun. Just the look on her bitchy face made that so worth it. I can't believe you did that, Nicole said. Really? Come on, Simon said. How else was I going to explain how you were my date? Nicole laughed then. She brought her hand to her forehead and shook her head as she laughed in disbelief. And that's just a little bit of Life Beyond the Game. And that is the scene where Simon steals the show, in my opinion.